Okay, welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to be talking about Superman and Lois, Season 2, Episode 2. I'm excited. We're back in Smallville. Superman back in action. Still trying to balance family life. And he's doing well. I'm just excited. Superman and Lois is back, and this is another good episode. I think definitely good episode, and I'm just at the ending it's got me even more hyped about this season because it kind of revealed a little bit of a clue of what the big bad that's about to come this season. So I'm really excited. I'll get into that later. First, let's just talk about Jonathan, Jordan. Let's start off talking about the side stories, because side stories were good this episode too, and they were definitely something to discuss. So let's go into the side storylines that we got in this episode, and then we'll get into the main plot, the main story, the main course, as you may say. So let's get into the first side story with Jordan and Jonathan. With school, romantic relationships. It's going to Jonathan as he's struggling with school and trying to get back into shape. Basically, Jonathan's storyline was in school, and when he was not with the family, it was basically about getting back and being replaced by one of the football players from his team, because he's not back into shape just yet. He's still trying to get back into shape. And so one of the player that's replacing him is this is when he's in school, he's with his girlfriend. They're making out in the hallways, and then the jock comes by, the football player that's replacing him comes by and teases him and saying, just how not in shape he is. And then we get to see the next scene that we get with Jonathan is with him, in the weight room. He's lifting, his little weight, because, he's not really back into shape just yet. While everyone is crowding, all the football players, including the coach, are watching this other player that's replacing Jonathan lift this heavy weight and just, be impressed. And Jonathan is a little bit suspicious. It's how are you in good shape so fast? It's it's a little bit suspicious, and I agree. So Jonathan then later in the episode talks with his brother and reveals that he thinks that this football player is doing steroids to be in shape for a football season, and I think he's going to do his own little investigation to try and get that, to see if he can somehow see if it's true or not, so that maybe he could get his spot back on the team. So that's basically what Jonathan was dealing with in this episode, and I just, I do feel bad for him. He's after his injury from last season and not being able to, be back to play football right away, and still trying to slowly get back into shape, and then some football player doing steroids that's taking his spot. It's really? Come on. It's he's working hard and you're taking the easy way, taking the shortcut, taking the steroids just to, be better than me, and just, and I just think it's definitely gonna end up, he's gonna end up getting caught, and Jonathan will end up getting his spot back on the team. Hopefully, because he deserves it. After last season, he deserves to, get back into football, and because it's what he loves to do, and I think it's just a little bit depressing for him not being able to play the sport that he's passionate about. So basically, that was Jonathan's storyline for this episode, and then let's get into Jordan. So Sarah's back, and in last episode he couldn't wait to, be with her and see her return. Yet Sarah's kind of been acting weird and suspicious. It's like she's kind of been quiet, and because remember in the last episode he created a romantic, he did the candles with his laser eyes and at the place that they got arrested at, and he did all this romantic gesture, and so I was like, I'm not feeling it. It's like, damn. Which kind of was off. That was awful. It's like, he's doing all these romantic gestures, and she's like, oh, I'm not feeling it, and then she just continues to act weird in this episode, and he kind of distance themselves from her because she wants like some distance away from him because she's like trying to figure out a way to tell him the secret that she's been keeping that we find out near the end of the episode. And in this episode we get Natalie, and let's kind of go to Natalie's character, John and Natalie. I'm combining them both because her dad and daughter. So they're adjusting being back she's adjusting being back on this Earth, and especially now moved into the same house as Clark, Ken, and Lois, and not her Lois, and she's adjusting because her Lois on the other Earth is dead, and so it's just trying to get used to the Lois that's not her mother but looks exactly like her mother. That's her dead mother, which is freaky. It's like, who would get used to that? That's gonna take some time to get used to, and it's like, I kind of feel, Lois should, she needs to give her some time, and of course Lois, is like, working hard, making this extravagant breakfast. It's like this big extravagant breakfast, and she's like, I don't eat that, and she doesn't eat this, and she doesn't really know her, and she's like trying a little bit too hard, and I think Natalie sees that, and she just wants a little bit of space because she needs time to adjust. So Natalie is now going to the same school as Jordan and Jonathan are, and it's her first day, and she ends up sitting at lunch with Jordan and Sarah, and they're talking about hanging out together after school, and Sarah ends up bringing up, oh no, Natalie sees that she's working on how to fix her dad's car, and Natalie sees that it's like, and Natalie's very into cars, and so Sarah ends up asking, hey, maybe you can help me fix my dad's old car, and she ends up not hanging out with Jordan, and ends up hanging out with Natalie, and they're fixing her dad's old car. And she's saying, trying to get her advice on how to tell Jordan her secret that she's been keeping, and she ended up giving good advice because she ended up telling Jordan her secret, because it's never good to keep secrets in relationships, so I'm glad Natalie gave her the right advice. And I like Natalie as a character, and I did get, even before her secret got revealed, which I'll get to near the end of the episode. Now, actually, since we're talking about Natalie and Sarah, why not just go to that scene where she finally ends up opening up to Jordan about what happened when she was away. She was at camp, and she was a camp counselor, and I guess the other camp counselor that she worked with, which was another girl, I guess they ended up, connecting, and she ended up kissing another girl and basically cheating on Jordan with someone else. And Jordan, of course, is like, so does that mean you're into girls? And she's like, no. which I don't think that's true. Like, you wouldn't have kissed her if, you weren't, had some sort of attraction to girls, so, or to the person, so I think that's a lie. So, I think, she is bisexual. She's gonna turn out to be bisexual, and I think that she's gonna end up having a thing with Natalie, because I did get some vibe when they were with their scenes in this episode when they were fixing up the car. I was like, I could see them together, like Natalie and Sarah. So if Natalie was supposed to have a if Sarah's supposed to have another love interest, it'd be interesting to see it would be Natalie. Because I was thinking, like, maybe one of the brothers, but I kind of doubt it. I don't see, because there's not the same romantic vibe with any of the brothers so far, so I'm thinking now it's going to be Natalie and Sarah. Could possibly be a possible relationship this season that could be explored. Possibly. So, of course, Jordan ended up breaking things off with Sarah, which is sad, because Sarah was his first girlfriend and his first heartbreak. Aww. But, in this episode, we see him help out his dad, and because he wanted to be useful, since he was like, Sarah wanted to distance herself from him while she was figuring things out. So let's go into Jordan's storyline for this episode, which was basically he didn't feel useful and he wanted to help out his dad so he could feel useful. With his dad ended up going back to his brother to ask about why he was having... Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. So everyone's having breakfast. John, Natalie, the whole family. And, of course, Lois went a little bit too hard to, impress John and Natalie. And then after breakfast, Superman has these visions, and Clark ends up almost kind of passing out, and he sees destruction of a planet, and he thinks it's Krypton. And basically throughout the episode, he keeps on having these visions, and like something coming out of the ground, and he doesn't know what it is, and he's just not sure. And all the time he has them, it's painful vibrations, and just he passes out. And so he goes, when he's went to go and help these people, I think at an airplane at an airport that were being attacked. He ended up in the middle of this fight, ended up having these visions, and ended up passing out. And of course, the military team of the Gifted Kids that Lieutenant Anderson put together, that had the same, Superman crest and everything that we met in the premiere, ended up coming in just in time, and they end up seeing Superman pass out. And actually the kid from season 1 that ended up getting powers because of Jordan's, explosion of powers, remember, at the party, that ended up, giving him some super speed, ended up saving Superman and bringing him to the military base, where again he has a talk with Lieutenant Anderson. And of course Lieutenant Anderson is like, well, you're not working with us anymore, so I can't help you. I don't know what's going on with you, so you have to figure it out yourself, because you're not with the military anymore. So he's just I hate Lieutenant Anderson. He's just being a complete awful person. I don't trust him. And he's like, you go figure it out yourself. So that's what he does. He goes to figure out what's happening what are these visions, what do they mean, why am I having these visions. So he goes to the one person he doesn't want to go to, his brother Tal, which is still trapped, imprisoned. And of course Tal convinces his Superman to break him out, and bring him to the Fortress of Solitude, his Fortress of Solitude, because that's the only place that could help him solve this problem. I disagree. I had a feeling like this was his plan to escape and try and break out, because I didn't trust him. I was like, no, I don't trust Tao. So we go to Tao brings Superman to his Fortress of Solitude along with Jordan for backup. Jordan ended up being good backup, because of course, before we get into that, let's get into who we meet at the Fortress of Solitude. There's so many people that, like, who do you think, what version or who are we gonna meet at this point at the Fortress of Solitude that, could help Superman with this problem? Of course, it's a good version of his mother, of their mother, Tal and Clark's mother from Krypton, that Tal saved from Krypton. And she, of course, explains that she didn't even know of Tal, even though, and that Tal is angry for her abandoning him, and he just, has a whole argument with her and how upset he is that he felt abandoned by her, and, he's just, having his own, explaining his own problems and why he hates her. And then, after all that goes down, Superman finally talks to her and tries to figure out why he is having these visions. And of course, this was an elaborate plan for Tal to try and escape, and it revealed that he still has his powers, and he's been playing, kind of just playing, like a sitting, he was acting like a sitting duck this whole time and acting like he was, weak and couldn't hurt or harm a fly. That was a lie. He still has his powers and of course tries to escape, but Jordan ends up using his powers and ends up fighting him and almost ends up beating him. That's basically where the mom ends up, and then he tries to attack Superman, and Jordan tries to, stop him, and then the mom convinces Tal to not hurt his own brother, so she had to be, the mom had to intervene, and she ends up saying that it was a good thing that Tal brought him to her because she knows what's going on with the visions. So then bringing back to that was the main storyline, but also part of this main storyline was Lois. Oh, maybe you should go to her because she had a side storyline as she was part of this main storyline, because Lois, John, and Superman, they were all trying to figure out what was going on, why he was having these visions of destruction of possibly Krypton, and so she did her own investigating with John, and let's get into John actually, because John was having these flashbacks of Lois, as he was looking at and working with Lois. He was just having these flashbacks of his Lois that he was married to, his version of Lois from the other Earth. And I think it's just he's still adjusting himself to, being around her, and that's not the same Lois from his Earth. And it must be really difficult, but he's holding it together very well, working with Lois and trying to be just friends. But I just feel like something's gonna happen where he's gonna slip up and try and kiss her or something, because it's gonna happen. I feel it's gonna happen. He's gonna slip up. John is gonna end up trying to kiss Lois, and it's gonna like definitely ruin the good friendship that they have now, because he's gonna feel that same connection from the Lois from his other Earth that died. So he's having flashbacks of Lois from his other Earth that got destroyed. And Lois is doing her own investigating as, for why these earthquakes are happening. And not only that, but the women that she works with at their newspaper business, things aren't going well. They need people. And one thing she sees is that an article is going out saying that kind of like bad talking Lois Lane, and Lois at the end of the episode tells the woman, because it's like the woman wants to know, can she trust her, and does she have a reliable sources, and did her sources get vetted? And Lois ends up telling her that story that came out about her was her mysterious source from that story that she got was her sister Lucy, that, which, part of the story was she ended up taking pills and almost tried to kill herself, which is, I didn't expect to, have such a dark backstory for Lucy, Lois's sister. So the fact that they're bringing up Lucy, I feel that we're definitely gonna get Lucy in this season. And after hearing about what happened and that she doesn't talk to Lucy anymore, means that her and her sister aren't on good terms. So I think we're definitely gonna get Lucy this season. The fact that they brought her up in this episode, so we're definitely gonna get Lucy this season. So let's get to John and Lois. They're working together, and she talks to a woman at the construction site at at the caves, and they're doing construction at the caves where the earthquakes are happening, and John is measuring the earthquakes and see if they have any connections with the visions Superman's having. And it turns out at the end we find out they're sitting, Superman, John, and Lois are sitting at the table, and they figure out that his visions are connected to the earthquakes, and the many times that he has the visions are the same amount of earthquakes, so his visions are connected to someone or something that's coming out of the ground in Smallville. And we find out that the woman that the Lois Lane talked to at the construction site where the at the caves are they were doing construction at, that woman knows that something is down there, something very powerful. And let's get into my theory. I think it's obvious that it's gonna be Doomsday. We're getting Doomsday this season, and Doomsday is a killing machine. He has so many powers, and I think this will make for a big season 2. Definitely a big jump from season 1's villain Tao from last season and his making Kryptonian minions. I think it's gonna be a good season. It's gonna be crazy. And will Superman survive Doomsday? So his visions are connected to Doomsday, and it's gonna get crazy. I think it's gonna be a little bit, probably the mid-season finale will get the reveal. Superman will come face to face with Doomsday, as they did with the mid-season finale of season 1. He'll come how he came face to face with Tao. So I think we're gonna have definitely a few episodes before we get into that. But I can't believe we're gonna probably get, most likely we're gonna get Doomsday. I'm so excited. This is big. Definitely bigger than Tao. And like I said before, we're possibly gonna also get Lucy from Lucy, Lois Lane's sister. So, oh my god, I'm so excited. There's so many things that could also happen too. I think this season is gonna be, I don't want to say just yet, but I think it's gonna be a good season. I'm excited. Doomsday! Okay, so next week's episode, I think we're just, gonna have him, probably Superman's gonna be at the military and fighting. I think he's gonna get involved probably at an attack, the same attack that the military's at, and so probably he'll again see those super gifted people again with the same crest as he has, and I think he's definitely gonna try and stop Lieutenant Anderson from making these super gifted people in the military and trying to give them the same powers he has. You can't make multiple Supermans. There's only Superman and of course Jordan, but that's because they have a born right to be Superman and to have superpowers. You can't just inject people with powers and then that's how you can easily, it's like taking a shortcut, to save people, just injecting them with powers. If everyone had powers like Superman, we wouldn't have Superman. So I definitely do think Lieutenant Anderson is a possible kind of minor villain that we're going to have this season. So, yeah, oh, and also Sarah's mom is now running for mayor. I forgot to bring that up. So I think that's going to be an interesting storyline with her running for mayor and balancing family and being a mom and a wife. I think it's definitely going to be a struggle. So my mind is a little bit blown just from the ending that we're going to get Doomsday. I'm sorry. Getting Doomsday. So until next week, see you later, Smallville.